Hello, everyone. This is High Priestess Tana, and thank you for tuning in to Tana Temple Healing Works. First and foremost, I would like to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers slash dads out there, and I hope you all enjoy your day. Have a beautiful rest of your day. I know if you're here in Michigan, well, specifically like Detroit or whatever, it's almost 2:30 p.m. So, yeah, like I just hope y'all have a blast. But I'm back, y'all, with another video, another Jackson video. And I know everybody is probably wondering, like, damn, why is she gonna review the Jacksons and American Dream? She keep comparing like the other Michael biopics that are currently floating around right now versus this one. This should have been included. Okay, so I'm here. I'm about to talk about it finally. So this was going way back, right? So actually I need to see what year this was. Um Give me 1 second. Yep, so the Jacksons and American Dream came out in 1992. So we're going back, way back, okay, to like the early 90s. And it talks about the Jacksons' rise to fame and all of the things they experienced prior to becoming one of the most recognized families in Hollywood, known for their talent, beauty, um, charisma, magnetism, however you want to put it as well, along with being very talented musicians slash singers. Okay, so they're talking about um, their life and all of the hardships and as well as the successes that they've also experienced. So y'all, I was singing that Kansas City song in my mind. I'm going to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come. Ooh, bop, bop, whatever, But Jason Weaver did an excellent job. Um, that was a cute song. And from my understanding, I think that came from the movie Oklahoma. And Michael Jackson, see, he put the stank on it because he could sing his face off, okay? So we already know Michael Jackson got his hands on something. He's going to take it up like to an astronomical level. You know what I'm saying? Blow it out the stratosphere, blow it out into the universe. You know what I'm saying? So it's talking about their journey to the show business, and it was a really well thought out, well crafted depiction of the Jackson family. Do I believe they sugarcoated a lot of stuff? Yeah, they did. They did, because you got to think this was a TV movie. I forgot exactly which network it aired on, but it basically was 5 hours long, I thought, from my understanding. It was, yeah, but they showed it in like two parts on ABC. Okay, that's what it was. ABC from November 15th through November 18th, 1992. So it was a pretty lengthy movie, and it was broken into two episodes. Um it goes back talking about not only just the family, like the children of the family rather, but they went back and talked about Catherine and Joe Jackson's um, budding romance, which led to them being married and having a successful family in show business, which include Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson. But in this movie, it was focused more on Katie, also known as Catherine Jackson and Joe Jackson, and Michael Jackson, and of course, just the Jackson Five in general, which included Michael Jackson, of course, as the lead singer. Um, yeah, so as I think about it, we have a lot to unbox here because this was a 5 hour episode. sorry, not episode, but 5 hour series, I guess you would say, and it was broken up into 2 episodes. So, I am going to break this down as best as possible, and that's another reason why it took me so long too to actually try to do this video, because I want to give this video some justice by really delving deep. I want to give people their flowers now. Before I even get started with the video, I just want to start basically giving my shout outs to all the amazing actors in the film, or yeah, you might as well say film slash TV series, however you want to put it. But yes, it was a mini series. Okay, and I'm saying that respectfully, not to be rude or anything. I'm make sure I'm on the right track. Wiley Draper did a magnificent job of playing the older version of Michael Jackson. He was like the older teenage version slash adult version of Michael Jackson. He did an excellent job. And did y'all know he passed away? I was heartbroken because I said, what happened to him? Like, he was amazing. Like, he could have did so much more. Then when I found out, I was devastated. Like, oh my God. Yeah, he did a great job. And actually, while I'm here, let's see. Wait a minute. I want to see what year did Wiley pass away, because I don't think he saw the final version of the miniseries. He passed away in 1993, December 20th, 1993. So, oh my God, everybody was saying that he did one of the best. Some people would say he, especially diehard Michael Jackson slash the Jacksons, Jackson 5 fans would say he was like the best Michael Jackson, but now, well, portray, like, he was the best actor to portray Michael Jackson. But then people say Jafar is too. So everyone's opinion is different. No one's right or wrong. But I thought they both did a phenomenal job, in my opinion. But see, with Jafar, he was throughout the whole movie, just about, with the exception of the scenes at the beginning of the movie when we had a younger Michael Jackson. But for the most part, Jafar in the new movie, he carried it, longer. So I think that's why some people will argue, and justifiably so. I agree too, that he portrayed Michael Jackson just the overall, like, more to a T. You got to think, this Jafar is Michael Jackson's blood nephew, you know what I mean? So he got it in his veins, he got it honest. But anyway, Wiley Draper was amazing. And he favored Jafar too. I was like, well, Jafar favored him because Wiley actually was the oldest between the two of them. And also we had who else in here? A lot of people. Was it Jermaine Jackson Jr. who played Jermaine, a younger Jermaine Jackson? We had Vanessa Williams who plays Suzanne DePaz. We had let's see. Well, yeah, Vanessa L. Williams. We had Terrence Howard. I believe he played the older version. Was it the older version of Jackie or something? Y'all, I gotta look and see shit. Okay, this helped me out. So, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs played Joe Jackson. Like I said in that other video, the one about the man in the mirror, the one when Flex was the main character playing Michael Jackson, the biopic. Oh my God, that was horrible. But I was talking about how Lawrence Hilton Jacobs was, he made me so mad here, but he was that good. He was great, phenomenal as Joe Jackson, because he pissed me off. Did y'all know that he was friends with he is friends with the Jacksons? From my understanding, I saw an interview with him that was about a few months ago that had him in it. Yeah, and they were talking to him, and he actually was friends with is friends with the Jacksons. Angela Bassett, she played Katherine Jackson. She was amazing, and she really did favor Katherine Jackson when she was younger. For real, like that's crazy. Holly Robinson Pete, she played Diana Ross, and I think she was a really good fit because of her personality and stuff. Y'all remember her being on Hanging with Mr. Cooper and stuff back in the day? She was one of the main characters. Um, let's see, and she's been in some other things as well, obviously, but that was like back then. She was on Hanging with Mr. Cooper, so a lot of people knew her from that. Let's see. I already talked about Wiley Draper. Um, Alex Burrell, excuse me, he played a young Michael Jackson from the ages 6 through 8, and Jason Weaver played Michael Jackson from the ages of 9 through 14. Um, let's see. There was another young man who played Jermaine Jackson, but then again, once Jermaine got old, the character, well, for the older version or older portrayal of Jermaine Jackson, they had Jermaine Jackson Jr., who played Jermaine from 10 to 17. Yeah, and then you had Terrence Howard, he played Jackie when he got older. But Bumper Robinson, do y'all remember him from he played, was it I forgot, was her name Lena? I think her name was Lena, Jada Pinkett Smith's character on A Different World. They used to date or whatever on the show. He played her boyfriend on the show, if I recall correctly. And if you look him up, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Monica Calhoun. Y'all remember her from the Players Club. She played, was it Ebony from the Players Club? And she played, was it Maya from The Best Man? She played Reby Jackson. And we had Ebony Smith as Latoya Jackson, the younger Latoya. And then we had Kelly Martin as Latoya from ages 8 through 10. And then we had, I believe you pronounce his name, Angel Vargas as Tito Jackson. Oh, I forgot to mention, Colin Steele was the young Jermaine Jackson. He was the young man who played him. I think I forgot to mention that. I just want to go back because I don't want to be disrespectful. And then the older version of Tito was a young man. I think you pronounce his name Shaquem or Shaquem. Jamar Evans is Tito Jackson from 11 to 15. And then you have Maya Nicole Johnson is Janet Jackson. It's a lot of damn people in here, y'all. Monica Allison is Hazel Gordy. Robert Redcross as Randy Jackson. Also, but the older version of let's see. Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, I think he was the older version of Randy Jackson, I want to say. And then Nicholas Phillips as Randy Jackson from ages 7 through 9. I think that's right. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. And then Marcus Maurice as Marlon Jackson. And then you have Floyd Myers Jr. as Marlon Jackson from ages 7 through 9. Wow, I didn't realize they had that many different actors for like the different age groups of the Jacksons. Jason Wilkerson is Marlon Jackson, ages 10 through 15. And then you have Amanda Hall as Danielle. Then you got I don't remember Danielle. I'm trying to think who. Oh, I think I know who that is. Okay, then we have Boys to Men. They made a cameo appearance as the group of teenagers that was bullying Jackie. I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, it was crazy. Because really this series was based off of the autobiography based on Katherine Jackson's life. So that's how this came about. And man, Angela Bassett and Lawrence Hilton Jacobs had great chemistry, on screen chemistry. I want to say that. And I know I spent a lot of time saying names and shit, but it was a lot going on. This is a five hour series, y'all. So it had like 38 songs included, and it was a lot of stuff you had to pay attention to. So first and foremost, I just want to go ahead and just highlight all the important scenes. I'm not trying to do a blow by blow review of every single thing, but oh, I forgot Billy D. Williams played Barry Gordy. See what I'm talking about? Because it's so much, like it's a lot. I said I'm missing somebody. That's why I stopped. Like, I'm missing some. Duh, he was the one that signed them to Motown. Okay, so we start off with Catherine Screws. Catherine Screws was a shy, kind of timid teenager when Joe Jackson first met her. It looked like they were at some type of I ain't gonna say like a juke joint, but some type of club or something. And that at the beginning of the movie when she first met him, and Catherine was very, very shy, and she basically kind of didn't want to like make any fast move to really talk to him or anything. She seemed very reserved, and he came over there, he spoke to her, and she started warming up. And at first she acted like she wasn't really interested, but there was like this jazz number that came on, this jazz beat, and I call it like almost like a theme for, I call it Joseph and Catherine's theme. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but that's what I call it. Like like it kind of sound like that, but in a bluesy, I mean jazzy type of way, with almost like a horn or saxophone or something. So he said, well, basically saying this is like fate. You like country music, I like country music, you know, you something happened about my parents are divorced, your parents are divorced, and some other few other things. But anyway, let's just fast forward, and her friend who was with her basically trying to tell her, oh, talk to him, girl, you know, that's Joe Jackson, and all the women, all the ladies all over him and stuff. So after they left the club or whatever, she basically her friend was talking to her, and she was telling her basically like, wow, like, so you don't like him? I couldn't tell, basically, in so many words, like, girl, look like you was enjoying yourself to me. You know, she said, he's not my type. And she said, I want to marry a jazz singer or something, a horn player or something. Yeah, not a jazz singer, like a horn player or something. So I was like, so she like the bebop type dudes or whatever. I was like, was she trying to marry like a version of Dizzy Gillespie or something? Like, you know, it was crazy, but that, we know that didn't happen. So anyway, we speed up. We see that Katie, that's what Joseph slash Joe called her a lot. Like, Katie, you know, he had a weird way of saying it sometimes, especially when he knew she was being hesitant or not really being completely transparent with him about things. I don't know, it just seemed like she was nervous around him then. I was like, okay. Anyway, moving on with the story. So we see Katie's life play out, and it looks like her mom back had been injured. Her mom works very hard, very laborious work. She was doing it. It seemed like she was, I think they called them a laundress back then. Like, she washed clothes, ironed clothes, and cleaned clothes and stuff like that. And this one man came over, this white man was basically saying, oh, I'm not going to pay you right away. You could wait, or some stupid shit he said that really pissed me off. Like, oh, well, until I have it next week, or some crap he said. And it looks like, I believe that was, is that Katie's brother or some relative who was there in the room with her. And he was like, hey, what you trying to do with your life, and blah blah blah, because I assumed that Katie slash Catherine was in her final year of high school, I assume, maybe. And she said, it's funny, her mom actually said she wants to be a country, well, no, she said she want to be a movie star. That's what her mom was saying. But she said, no, mom, a country western singer, not a movie star, but I do have dreams of becoming a country western singer. And I believe the gentleman who's with her was either a relative or her brother or something. He said, well, yeah, you need something a little bit more solid, Katie. How about the nursing program and blah blah blah, like when you're done with school, and I could get you set up with that, and etc etc. So they talked about that. And moving on, we see Katie's life play out, and she's a teenager who appears to be musically talented. And that's another reason why their children end up being very talented, because we also found out that Joseph also had musical gifts and stuff too. He could play the guitar, could sing as well. So that was very true, that they had a lot in common when it came to music and like dreams of moving away from their situation. And you would hear Joseph always talk about, I got big dreams, and I want to move to California and just make it big. And he always, it seemed like they were pie in the sky ideas, like they were just, like it was just but a bunch of talk, but he really manifested that stuff, like he really did, at the expense of his own children. But he manifested those things, because he worked the shit out of them, because he didn't make it as a music artist. He was with the Falcons, and that didn't really pan out the way he expected. So anyway, Katie was leaving school or something like that, or she was on the sidewalk, and her friend basically told her, she was like, oh my god, that's Joseph is back in town, and this and that. And because she found out that the reason why she hadn't seen Joseph in a minute was because he ended up getting married to another chick, and he had got an annulment, so he got the marriage annulled, and he was looking for Katie again. He scared the shit out of Katie, because he kind of drove up on her almost like he was about to run her over, which was a sign that he was crazy as hell then. And her books just flew out of her head. Like, I would have been scared too. Like, the hell wrong with you? Crazy. But anyway, long story kept short, I'm about to speed this up. So she going in the bathroom crying and all that. Next thing you know, Joseph started to impress her. He came to Katie's house, and I think it was around Christmas time, because I heard Christmas carol music or Christmas time type of music, right, in the background. And he bought her a diamond necklace, if I recall correctly. And she was like, I'm not really into diamonds. And you'll notice with this damn chair, y'all, with Katherine Jackson, like her voice was really low, and she was very shy. And I forgot to mention that she had polio, so she walked with a limp. She talked about that at the very, very, very beginning of the movie, when her and Joseph had first met. She told him that she had polio, so she basically walked with it left her with a limp. And he was basically come over trying to woo her and just get on her good side. And if she fell for it, obviously she fell in love with Joseph, and they showed a montage of them going out and hanging out with each other and him courting her and them enjoying their time with each other. And I believe that was Jermaine, and I forgot who else was singing in the background, like singing the background song. Well, singing the song in the background, y'all. And it was crazy, but we spent a nice amount of time showing the dynamic just between Joseph and Catherine. So eventually she found out that she was pregnant. And she looking like, what am I going to do about this? How am I going to tell this man that I'm pregnant by him? So they went out one night, and I believe that they just came from the movies or something of that nature. And he was like, Katie, is this something you want to tell me? She looking like, no. And she said, because he was talking about, the big dreams again, like moving to California. He also was a boxer too, and he had been spending time boxing, making his money boxing as well as music. And eventually he ended up working in a steel mill to support himself and his family. But he was like, your mother, he said, are you pregnant? Because how the way she was talking about, I don't want to ruin anything for you, and I don't want you to stop living your life and this and this and this. And he was like, Katie, are you pregnant? And she looked like, ooh, wow. And he was like, well, your mom told me you are. And basically, speeding up, we already know Katherine Jackson had a whole lot of babies, had a whole lot of children. And we saw how they were living. Okay, she had already had multiple children by the time they sped up to showing him taking a job at the steel mill. And he experienced layoffs at times and stuff too while he was working at the steel mill. And I'm going to just start getting into the dynamic of like the psychology of Joe Jackson for what I saw from the outside looking in. I had never met the man before, obviously never met any of the Jackson family members. And it would have been nice to meet Michael Jackson in real life before he passed, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. But Joe Jackson, we started to see how he went from this kind of suave, calm dude with big dreams, and he was a little more chill when it was just him and Katie. But as the family grew and bills start coming along the way, you got a house, you got a wife, you have multiple children, you have a lot of responsibilities. Then on top of that, being a black man in America, quite sure he faced prejudice and racism as well. That just came with the territory, but they did live in what it looked like a predominantly black neighborhood, 2300 Jackson Street. And that's interesting how that the name of the street was their actual last name. Y'all remember that song too back in the day called 2300 Jackson Street? Yeah, that was a good song, but and a good album too, because they had an album named after that too. But anyway, we see that Joe was frustrated. He had a lot going on. He worked a stressful job. He was trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. And then we saw Katie. At first, I don't think she was working, but eventually she ended up getting a job at Sears. And it looked like she was some type of assistant or something. Like she would get like certain items for people. And like, for example, this one lady needed a specific pan or skillet or something. She was like, I get that right away for you, miss. And blah, 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 blah. So she looked like she may have been working at least part-time. And we found out eventually Joseph got laid off. And when he got laid off, you could tell she was trying to console him like, oh, baby, it's going to be all right. We got this. We always make it through. We just going to keep the faith and keep doing like we've been doing. Things to get better eventually. And he looking like, I got to do something. So he ended up playing his music again, playing in clubs and stuff like that. But it still wasn't enough to pay the bills. They showed him, I think, like a few times playing with his band, the Falcons, and he sounded good. He sound good rather. But the thing is that you could tell that it just wasn't enough. He was sick of running himself ragged, working hard. He felt like he worked for nothing. And I remember one scene they had shown Reby cooking greens, but they still had bugs in them. And Catherine slash Katie was like, baby, they ain't how you cook no greens. Nah, you know, you got to get the bugs out. You got to be more careful. Okay, she said just like that. She's looking like, baby, you got to be more careful. You know, you cooking these greens, you got to make sure you cook them, you know, clean them well so that you don't have bugs floating in them. And you could tell Reby had a lot on her plate too, because she was the firstborn of the Jacksons. So she was the oldest female and the oldest Jackson child in general. And the second oldest was Jackie. So he was the oldest of all the boys, but he wasn't the oldest, period. He was just the second oldest. And it's there are a lot of Jacksons. I'm not gonna go into birthdays and all that stuff, but they were damn near like stair steps. They ain't that far apart from each other in age, if I recall. Except for like Randy and Janet. I think they're like 5 years apart. Randy Jackson was born in like 61 and Janet was born in 66. Yep, that's my girl right there. But anyway, it was pretty cool seeing them like normal as a family, sitting down at the table eating and being silly. I believe that was like Marlon and Michael being silly and stuff at the table. And y'all, it was this one scene where Michael had a shoe that he didn't put up. It was like a penny loafer or something, and Joseph went off. You're like, Michael, boy, he's like, you better put that shoe up, whatever. And he was just running like, no, I'm not doing anything. It was crazy. And he was like, boy, I'm gonna beat you, whatever. And he looking like, I don't care. He was crying up under the bed, and that shoe was there. And I was just like, because Joseph had bumped his head like, pow, trying to reach. He was like, that boy fast as a rabbit. I can't catch him. And this and this and this. And it was fun. That was funny. It wasn't supposed to, but supposed to be. But that shit was funny. One scene, and I'm jumping all over the place, but on one scene too, Joseph or Joe had told his band, the Falcons, like, yeah, y'all sound bad, man. Like, what y'all doing? I'm gonna have to employ my kids in a minute. And that was funny because that ended up being true. And he got them out of the bed, got the children out the bed, and they were still fairly young. And he was like, nah, they can show you how it's done. And they was dancing, and he was like, ha ha, yeah, that's my family right there. They're my kids right there, you know. They gonna blow y'all out the water, basically. And I'm like, okay. It was true, though. So, baby, then we see this one scene. Tito broke the damn guitar string. And why did he do that? Boy, he got the brakes beat off him. I said, damn, he gonna beat this child to a pulp in a minute. He keep whooping his child ass. It was horrible. Cause he was crying. I said, oh Lord, I feel his pain through the TV. Shit, even though it was a movie and they sitting up there crying like, oh my God, like, I wish he had just quit beating him. And I'm looking like, Katie, I wish you could have told that man to stop beating him. Shit, crying ain't gonna solve nothing. But anyway, he got everybody gathered up and he was like, oh, since you want to be a guitar hero or whatever, I want to see you perform now. Had that belt, like, and don't you fuck it up, basically. Everybody came out there, the older, I guess you would say the older Jacksons who were of age. They started playing that song. I forgot that song called Need Your Lovin' or something. Baby, I need your lovin'. To have all your loving like that. And they did that though. They ate on that scene. I said, yep, they killed it. Like yeah. But Michael was like, I wanna join. He was like, no, you too little, you too young, boy. Sit down somewhere. But check this out. Michael showed them a thing or two. Cause I know he asked his teacher on one of the scenes. He was like, "Hey, Miss whatever her name was," he was like, "I want to know if I could be on a do something with when it came to singing it." Girl, I can't even think. I just drew a blank. But anyway, and he was like, he wanted to be a singer and all this other stuff. Cause they asked like, "What you want to be when you grow up?" He said, "I want to be a singer and I want to sing great songs or whatever the hell." And next thing you know, we see Michael singing that song, "Climb Every Mountain," something something. I can't remember the damn words. You'll find your dreams. You know, that's all I remember. I forgot. He ate though. He did that shit. Anyway, um Joe eyes lit up like money signs was in them shits. He like, oh, that boy, he about to get put to work. I ain't know he had it like that. He could sing like that. But see, their mom, Katie, she basically said she knew that Michael was talented the whole time and he could sing, and it was just something about him that was different from the other children. She just felt it. Mothers know, okay? But also, I want to go back about how she chose his name. Because at first she was saying some other names. I'm like, that don't fit him. And also, when she finally chose Michael, I was thinking, yeah, like Archangel Michael, that's very biblical. And even the name Joseph is a biblical name from my understanding. So she was like, yes, his name is going to be Michael Joseph Jackson. And you could tell how the way she was looking at her son, like, my son is just different. He got a different aura about him. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we go through this different phase of seeing the Jacksons perform at different places like the juke joints where and like it looked like strip clubs because this one chick was doing this strip tease and I think she threw her bra at one of them. I'm like, girl, like that's so nasty. Like these are young men slash children. You don't girl bad anyway. And I'm quite sure that traumatized, I ain't gonna say traumatized them per se, but little Michael was a bit much, you know, because seemed like he didn't like all that over the top stuff, which a normal child wouldn't like to be exposed to all that. And they went from different places, from city to city, performing different other little venues and stuff. And people would give them money, like on when they would perform on stage. They were performing in the Chitlin circuit, if you will. That's what they called it back then. And oh my god, it was another scene, y'all. Whew. Marlon got the shit beat out of him. He told him, go out there and get that switch. And don't be skimpy either. Because I know how you do, basically. Marlon would try to find the smallest switch or smallest branch, and it will piss Joseph off. Marlon couldn't get the moves right, the spins and the moves and all that. He at first had 2 left feet, but we know Marlon turned into a dance machine, y'all. We knew he was killing it with them hip rolls and shit on state body rolls. Like, we already knew he turned into a beast when he got older with the dance moves. But it was sad. He beat him so bad, and just it was just horrible. I remember on one of the other scenes, Michael was supposed to have been performing at home, well, rehearsing at home, and Joseph looked like, boy, where you been at? We've been waiting on you. And this, he was like, he went to go get some candy or something, and was selling candy at the candy store too. Well, from the candy store. He's speaking of candy. I got some chocolate right here. I haven't eaten. Oh my God. He was like, how much you selling the candy for? A nickel? He said, how much you pay for a nickel? I was like, this child, he ain't making no money. You supposed to double or triple the profits. Well, triple the price, so you can have your return of investment, the ROI. You know, it was so funny though. But he looking like, boy, you better get your ass in there so we can perform and make this damn money. He looking like, no. I said, oh shit, here we go. He about to beat him. And he pushed him, but well, Mike had pushed Joseph like, bitch. Like, he looking like, boy, I get you, this and this. It was funny. It was terrible. It was funny. It was funny. He was looking like, oh my God, this little, I know he couldn't stand Michael, but we know that Michael got beat on. You know, for real. Okay. In real life, all of them got beat, from what it sounded like, from what they were saying, especially the boys. I didn't look at it as a form of discipline. I looked at it as a form of abuse. Like, you're trying to get your children in line, like to whip them or beat them into submission. I didn't like that. Oh my God. I have so much to say about this movie, and I'm trying to break it down as simplistic as possible. Something else happened after that. Oh, Jackie and his situation with the boys on the block, played by Boys to Men. That's funny. These dudes doo-wopping, doo-wop, whatever, singing a song and talk about, I don't know what the hell they were singing. I forgot. It's been a long time. Since I remember everything blow by blow, but I was just watching not long ago. Let me quit playing. They was like, oh, Jackie, heard you think you Mr. Big Stuff. Nah, but you too good, you know, to be around certain people now and this and that. And he looked like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, oh, you think you too good or too good looking or whatever to be with us, be around us, and this and that or something. And next thing you know, they started to, you know, get into it. But Joseph came out there and was like, oh, you want to handle things like a real man. Jackie beat that nigga, beat they ass, basically, in so many words. And Jackie had them hands, though. I ain't gonna lie, he could fight. He kicked old boy ass. It looked like they was, you know, giving it to each other, you know, for a minute. That bop, 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 you know, but just but Yeah, it was a lot going on. And then we saw one scene when Jackie was sneaking out and he was looking like shit. I was with one of my lady friends. Fuck what you talking about, shit. Fuck this work shit. Basically, he looking like, oh, nigga, you wanna go out, you stay out. Don't you bring your black ass back in here, basically. Um, how about that? He came back or whatever. Um, and he ended up had to lay some bricks. That was a form of punishment or discipline or whatever. So anyway, Reby, she started dating, I guess her at the time, her soon to be husband. They end up getting married, right? And she was with her husband a long time, but in real life, but he passed away. From my understanding, he had some health issues in real life. She was with him a long time, and it's crazy because Reby actually is very talented too. I think she was slept on because she was really good. She looked like, oh my god, her and Janet look so much alike. They do. They look so much alike. They look like their mother to me, and but this the crazy part. Michael and Janet look so much alike too, and Latoya. Oh my goodness. Um, Jermaine looked more like their mother too before he started doing like, I guess it looked like he had a few nose jobs and with his hair and stuff. He but Jermaine he actually wasn't bad looking until he started messing with his hair and doing too much, I guess, to look like he had got a facelift or something and a few nose jobs, and I'm just like, no. He don't even look real anymore to me. I don't know why. Like, he looked real, but he looked like you could tell he's got surgery and stuff. Even Latoya, like, she was pretty before she went. I think she did too much rhinoplasty. But then again, she had done some very crazy things when it came to the family, like um, telling the family so-called business. But then she said some of the stuff wasn't even true that she was saying, and she was also saying that she believed Michael Jackson was doing those so-called crimes and against younger people, and that was not true or had behavior like that. But she went back and she retracted her statements and said that she was under control of this guy named Gordon or whatever the hell his name was. But yeah, anyway, we see them just hustling, contest after contest, competing, and eventually they end up going to Showtime at the Apollo, and they were pretty good. And I think they were singing "Twist and Shout," which I love that song. Shake it up, baby, shake it up, baby, twist it, child, come on and twist it, child. Na, 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 na. Anyway, we ain't gonna sing the whole song. We don't need no copyright shit, whatever. But anyway, um, that was they blew the roof off that bitch like in the show at the Showtime at the Apollo, and they did an excellent job. And on top of that, eventually we see them like on the brink of stardom, and it was cool, um seeing them go from having to hustle. They were hustling for real. Joseph had them on a rotating schedule, like he did not play with them. They had grueling rehearsals. Excuse me, more gruesome, I guess, or not gruesome, but more exhausting than some adults that were in the business already, and that were who were already successful and had been around a while. So Eventually they end up meeting what is his name? Something Taylor. Uh is it Bobby Taylor? From Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers. And they end up living with him for a minute. In his apartment or something like that. And then eventually when they got set up in California, after they had got signed to Motown and stuff, they end up moving the rest of the family out there. But they were auditioning. They had to audition for Barry Gordy, who was played by what's his name, Billy D. Williams. And it was great to see that. And Barry Gordy was like, I don't like dealing with no kids. Nah, I ain't got time for that shit. But Suzanne DePass was like, you don't understand. These aren't some ordinary kids. I'm trying to tell you, their talent is like astronomical. You don't know what I'm talking about. Like, you got to see it and hear it and feel it for yourself. To see exactly what I'm talking about. Words can't describe the talent that I felt from these children. They were amazing. They were beyond amazing. They were otherworldly amazing. Especially little Michael Jackson, who was the lead singer. Michael Jackson was so excited to audition for Motown, and I think they went to, was it like the museum? Like the Motown Museum, or not museum at the time. I don't think it was a museum yet. Maybe, I'm trying to think. Yeah, Hitsville, USA eventually became like the Motown Historical Museum. But it was some other museum I thought they were at. Yeah, because that wasn't, yeah, I'm jumping the gun here. And he was like, ooh, I'm gonna have shoes like that one day, patent leather. It was so funny because at this point, Michael Jackson is being played by Jason Weaver, and Jason Weaver can sing his face off too. I got that feeling, do do do, baby, baby, I got that feeling, baby, baby, baby. Like he could sing, so he was singing the hell out them damn songs. Like I said, they ate for real. Well, he ate in this movie for real, for real. But the people who, like, all the people who were like the main people, they had the dance moves down pat. They had everything, the mannerisms. Like the Jackson 5 family, they were pretty sharp. But as far as like the Jacksons, the ones that really stood out to me was, of course, Jason Weaver stole the show. And of course, Angela Bassett and damn Lawrence Hilton Jacobs. Them were the three that really stood out throughout the whole movie because they were phenomenal. Hands down. The acting was on point, and Katie went off. At one point she was like, Joseph, you gonna have to get a grip on things, because she said, you up here buying these damn instruments and we up here, this before they got signed to Motown, we up here starving, Jackie shoes talking to him or whatever, and we living from paycheck to paycheck, robbing Peter to pay Paul. We living like poorer than poor, and you sitting up here spending some money on some damn instruments and shit. You out of your damn mind. But then he told her, Katie, I got a vision. I got a vision for my family, and I'm gonna get us the fuck up out of here. You just wait and see it. And I be damned, he did. Yeah, it came at a time where it just wasn't good timing. It seemed like to her, but it was, because they were suffering, but they also were hustling, and they also got blessed accordingly, like how they, what they put out, they got back like 50 times more. You know what I'm saying? They became superstar, global superstars. Everybody all across the world knew the Jacksons. And they performed at this pool party and stuff for Barry Gordy and his record label and stuff, and it was crazy. I think that was at Diana Ross's place, that where they had a pool party. And it's funny because they had just moved in a house right in California, and Joseph was like, I told you, Katie, we were gonna make it to California, and this, that, and the other. And he was like, hey, I mean what I say, and I say what I mean, basically. And the funny part was they showed a scene where Joseph got beat up, and um I believe none of the equipment was stolen, but that was before they got signed to Motown too. I forgot to mention that. But it was crazy because after that everything was like like meteoric, like a, I don't know, like a rocket just going, 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 going. It was just meteoric, like it just went through the like the universe, like it just, they were like an explosion in the universe. And all the girls were going crazy over them. You had crazy fans. You had this one girl who uh was trying to sneak and get into the hotel room. She did. She was hitting on Jermaine, but Jermaine was crazy about Hazel Gordy. They end up getting married. Actually, a lot of them end up getting married at about 18. Tito end up getting married. Reby end up getting married pretty early that I could think of. Jermaine, I think I just said his name. Um, Even Janet ended up getting married early. And yeah, a lot of them did. And that upset Michael. And you feel like, damn, I ain't got nobody like to be around as far as my brothers and stuff like that. But he did, but um he felt like that was gonna break up the group because a lot of them were getting married, and that was hurting the fans more than anything, as they viewed them as being like teen idols, teen crushes, and they didn't want to upset the fan base. I got hungry, y'all. So it's funny because Joe, he didn't want the females of the family to come to the pool party. He was like, it's just strictly business. It's not that type of party. Jackson 5 business. I was thinking, was he cheating then? I think he probably had started cheating or something. But they didn't talk about the love child he had. And she was born, I think, the day after Michael's birthday or something. Like in 1975 or some shit. Something like that. Her name is Giovanni. She's actually a half sibling, the half sister to the Jackson family. Okay, so to speed it up, Michael Jackson met Diana Ross, and he ended up singing with her that song that go like, reach out and touch somebody's hand. You can make the world a better place if you can. Something like that. And Michael took over. He sung the hell out that song. Killed it. Um, what else happened? we start seeing them on TV. We started seeing the Jacksons perform actually on TV a little bit after that moment, and they were singing the songs that we love, like ABC and a lot others. Like we know, like the songs, right? I'll be there. I want to be where you are. Who's loving you and stuff like that. So, also, we started seeing how fame affected Michael. He was afraid to fly on the airplanes, y'all. It was like, I don't want to go and this and that. No, I don't want to fly on a plane. And I'm thinking, what scared him so badly to want to fly on a plane? I don't really know. I would have to look into that a little more. But once he overcame that fear, he got to where he was safely. He went on stage and he, sung the hell out that song. And I think that was I Want to Be Where You Are. And that was a great, great song for Jason Weaver to sing. He really, I'm telling y'all, he embodied the youthful version of Michael Jackson. He was like he really had it down packed for real. Everything, persona, aura, everything. He didn't look like Michael Jackson, but he had everything. Like he didn't really have to look like him to embody the essence of the young Michael Jackson. He did a phenomenal job. And then we also saw that they sung the national anthem, but guess what, y'all? They didn't know the words to the national anthem. So someone, Suzanne the Pass had to call someone to get, I don't know if they were part of the team from Motown or something, to get the words for the Star Spangled Banner. And at this point, I'm about to speed things up, y'all. So we're getting closer to the end of the movie. Everybody is growing up. And it's crazy because also I'm going to talk about Tito, right? And how Joseph was treating him when he found out he was getting married. He looking like, don't you trust that girl? And I don't want you being with that girl, whatever. And he looking like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, she loved me and I love her, and she only want me for me, not because of my stardom or my popularity. She just genuinely loved me. And he looking like, man, whatever, you ain't got my blessings. But apparently, from what it looked like, I believe he did attend the wedding. Joseph did. And it was just crazy. It's almost like he didn't want them to be with nobody. It was all about the music. I think he hated that some of them got married as young as they did. Because he felt like that took away from the fan base. And on one scene, he was talking to the family, specifically the Jackson 5. He was like, the Osmonds, they got a show, and we need to do like a variety show. And I believe that could have been either Marlon or Randy. Was like, I have nothing against, them. That probably was Marlon. He was like, the Osmonds are good kids. Like, why do we have to compete with them? He was like, well, shit, you better. They ain't about to take our spot, because I'm not gonna lie, it got to a point where the Jacksons had stopped making hits like that after so long. And it's crazy because now, okay, I'm about to speed up. We hear the song Dancing Machine. She said, dancing, dancing, dancing machine. Watch it get down, watch it get down. What she do, overseeing, whatever. Anyway, so we start seeing an older Michael Jackson played by Wiley. And he really did remind me of Michael Jackson. Oh my God. I was like, damn, he looked like him too. Just like we know Jafar looked like Michael, because that's his uncle too. But I said, damn, he look like Michael, and Jafar remind me of him too. But shit, I forgot. Oh, one of the most iconic. I forgot, y'all. This fool Joseph was like, what he said. He was like, he went outside and he was like, Michael, Marley. He saw a wet towel or something in the pool. He was like, and she was, Catherine looking like, Joseph, what the hell are you doing? What's all this racket you making? And she was like, you know what? She was like, Joseph, you know what you gonna do? These young men got young ladies crying all over them, all over the world. They got fans over the world. They got fame out the wazoo. They are well known. They got it made. They can do what they want to do now. They're not children anymore. She said, go to bed, Joseph. Go to bed. That's one of my favorite lines. I was like, finally, you got his ass. Mm-mm-mm. His reason for why he was tough on his family too. Joseph was so tough on them because he said that they had to get ready for. He had to toughen them up for a tough world, because he said the world we live in is tough, and that's why he was so rough and firm with them. I'm like, damn, did you have to be that damn firm? So we see a newer version of Michael Jackson. He's the teenage going into the adulthood version of Michael Jackson. This is the role now is being portrayed by Wiley Draper. R.I.P. to him. Oh my God, he did such an amazing job, and he looked like he could be related to them for real. And especially Michael during that phase from like the late 70s up until like the early 80s, before he started going too extreme with the plastic surgery and stuff. And it's crazy because Michael was going through a lot. He was telling his brothers, I'm sick of singing these same damn old tired ass songs. We ain't had, and I heard, I think that was Jackie said, we ain't had no hits. And he was saying, Jermaine, you need to talk to your father-in-law to see if we can get something else going, because this ain't it. We need some better songs, some better beats or something, because this ain't popping. This ain't what's up over here. And Jermaine was looking like, shit, y'all better find another way to do that. Every time something go wrong, I ain't about to be running to my father-in-law being Captain Save-A-Hole, basically, in so many words. Like, that's not my job to save you. You better, if you want something from him, you better ask him yourself. He did say that part, like, for real. Like, if you want something done, you better ask him yourself. I'm not about to be the middleman for everything. Whenever y'all, something goes wrong, you want to come to me and use me as the scapegoat or whatever, or as the fixer, basically. Damn, this damn chair. Oh my God. What else? There's something else I was thinking about. Michael Jackson was starting to experience self-esteem issues. He didn't like how the way he looked. He thought he was ugly. Nothing was wrong. Michael Jackson looked nice to me. Like, yeah, he went through a period where he had acne and stuff, but he really was going through some severe self-hatred type of issues. And I was like, oh my, like, this is really bad, worse than what I thought. He was talking to his mother, Katie, and he was like, Ma, they talk about me, they say I'm ugly, I hate this acne on my face, I don't feel good anymore, my voice ain't the same, they talk about me, my singing, and I just don't know what else to do. I'm tired of this shit, basically. And we speed up a little bit, and we notice that Michael actually decided that he wanted to go solo. So he started working on his solo albums, like Off the Wall. And after Off the Wall, we get to Thriller. And Thriller was like, once again, a meteoric rise for his own solo career this time, he, just really set the world ablaze with his presence, his aura, his charisma, his talent, and his beauty. People loved the way he looked. A lot of women thought he was sexy and stuff, and a lot of boys wanted to be like him, have his, vibe, and everybody was wearing like the Thriller outfits and the beaded jackets and all this stuff. So he became like a household name at this point. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing the name Michael Jackson. So we see Wiley transform into that version of Michael Jackson. And they were showing that he was recording Thriller as well, and you heard him singing a little bit of Human Nature, as well as we also got a chance to see him perform Billie Jean during the Motown 25th anniversary performance, because he basically told Berry Gordy, hey, I'm not doing it, sorry, but no thank you. And then eventually, Berry Gordy sweet talk him. He talked him down. He like, okay. He was like, I wanted you to be my father, right? And that's something else I forgot to talk about. We saw the bond between Berry Gordy and Michael Jackson unfold gradually throughout the movie. And you could tell that Michael really did admire him and did call him, well, consider him in his mind like a father figure, okay? And there was a quote that Michael said when he was younger, and I don't know if a lot of people really notice he said this. He said, I may be short, but I'm the man. In one of the scenes when he was younger, throughout during the earlier years of the Jacksons. And another line was, I want to sing with my brothers and everybody thinks I'm too little. And Mr. Rat, y'all, I forgot to mention about Mr. Rat. Mr. Rat was a close friend and confidant to Michael Jackson. Before Bubbles came in the picture, you had Mr. Rat. So I wanted to talk about that. And also, speaking of animals, we jump into seeing his animal collection at Havenhurst. He had like a giraffe, a lion, he had Bubbles the chimp, and he had Muscles the snake. And he had a few other animals, child. I think a llama and everything. Shit. Michael had the whole damn zoo just about. At least the favorite animals from the zoo that people will want to have as a pet maybe. But next thing you know, after he performed Billie Jean at the Motown 25 episode, on a Motown 25 episode, next thing you know, we talk about the Victory Tour and the Pepsi commercial. So they actually showed the Pepsi commercial like they did in the movie Michael, and they showed him get injured. His hair caught on fire and his head looked like a human torch for a minute. And it was devastating. And they showed Michael in the hospital, and he was reminiscing about his life and everything. And then they showed him at home recovering, talking to his mom. And it was, he had some deep things to talk about with her, just overall. Thinking how he sacrificed too much for them. He really didn't want to do the commercial. Sacrificed too much for his family, and he really didn't want to do the Victory Tour or the commercial. And it's crazy, but he went out there and performed at the Victory Tour anyway, even through all the stuff he went through. Oh my God, I forgot to mention this scene before I got to these parts. I had just mentioned baby Katie went off. She said she kept hearing the phone ring, right? Because at first the phone was ringing and she was answering. One of the most iconic scenes out the movie. She was like, she looking like, who was this? They hang up, dial tone, whatever. Ring, 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 ring. Next thing you know, Joseph was like, oh, can you go get me some ice cream? She said, well, we got whatever in there already. He said, yeah, I know, but I won't. I forgot what the fuck he wanted. Was it walnut or some shit? And she some told her, like, turn around. And she like, oh shit. Let me listen to my instincts, my discernment. Next thing you know, she heard him on the phone with another bitch. And clearly that must have been Giovanni's mother who was on the phone, because he had come to find out he ended up messing around with her, being with her for like 25 years. And as we know, the real Katie or Catherine Jackson had filed for divorce twice from Joseph Jackson, but they never end up officially getting divorced. They just end up living separately, from my understanding. It was a mess. Katie came up there. She said, I knew it. I said, oh shit. She said, I heard it. I heard all of it. She said, you a Joseph, you a liar. And you a cheat. And I don't want you. No, no, I don't want you. I don't want you. I don't want you no more. And she just pop, 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 slapped him. I said, yes, honey. Finally. Girl. A mess. A mess. She ended up going to her mother's house. She lived in like an area that seemed like it was kind of like a rural area where she wasn't really in the heart of the city like that. And she escaped there for like a few weeks. And her mom was like, she said, Jermaine and I forgot who else been calling you. They've been worried about you and blah, 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 blah. She said, well, tell them, I don't know, she said, tell them I'm not here, or tell them I'm doing fine, or something. I can't remember, but whew, it was intense. Okay, so we're heading towards the end, I promise. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. So, next thing you know, they're getting ready for the victory tour. And they performed some of their older songs from when they were the Jackson 5. And now they're just going by the Jacksons because of legal reasons. Because when they left Motown, they couldn't use the Jackson 5 anymore, from my understanding. So they had to just change their name to the Jacksons. And they started singing some of their old songs, but then they closed out with a beautiful song. Well, it was very simple, but it was great to end the movie with. They were going like, we thank you and all that. It was pretty good. It was nice, and they look good or whatever at the end and stuff. They really remind me of the Jackson 5 for real when they did the victory tour. And Michael was talking about the trials and tribulations that they had to face before they became famous. And he let people know, hell, we had to fight for the American dream. We didn't just have stuff handed to us. My family worked hard, especially our father, to get us out of poverty in the ghetto or whatever of Gary, Indiana. Like, we didn't live in luxury. That wasn't always the case for us. And that's when they sung that We Thank You song. And it was a beautiful ending. And we have the end of the movie. Okay. If you would like to leave your comments or whatever in it under the video, that is perfectly fine. I appreciate it. And thank you again for rocking with me today. Again, my name is High Priestess Tana. Also, once again, happy Father's Day. And I hope y'all had a beautiful day. And I may be back again tomorrow. If not, probably the end of the week. All right, peace. I love y'all. Stay safe. Stay blessed. And let me know how y'all like the review or the recap, however you want to put it. All right.